Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation? You know exactly what you want to say. The idea is clear in your head, but suddenly, your mind goes completely blank. You search for the right word. You know you have learned it before. You have seen it in a book, you have heard it in a movie, and you might have even written it down in your notebook. But right now, in this exact moment, you cannot find it. So, you panic, you stop talking, or you use a very simple, boring word instead. And after the conversation ends, 5 minutes later, that forgotten word suddenly pops into your head. If this happens to you, I want you to know something very important. You are not alone. This is the #1 frustration for English learners all over the world. It makes you feel embarrassed. It makes you feel embarrassed. It makes you feel like your English is worse than it actually is. It makes you avoid conversations. But today, I am going to tell you a secret that will change how you learn English forever. You do not have a bad memory. Your brain is not failing you, and you definitely do not need to memorize the dictionary. The reason you forget words when you speak is not because you do not know them. It is because you have a broken retrieval system. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. Not with hours of studying, but by changing how your brain stores information. Let me explain what is actually happening inside your mind. Think of your brain like a highly advanced computer. This computer has 2 different folders for vocabulary. The first folder is called your passive vocabulary. This folder is huge. It contains thousands of words. When you read a book, watch a YouTube video, or listen to a podcast, your brain uses this passive folder to understand what is happening. You do not have to create the words. You only have to recognize them. Recognizing is easy, but there is a second folder. This is your active vocabulary. This folder is much smaller. These are the words you can pull out of your mind in 1 second without translating. When you speak, you are not allowed to use the massive passive folder. Your brain only gives you access to the small active folder. That is why you can understand an advanced podcast perfectly. But when you try to explain that same podcast to a friend, you sound like a beginner. You are trying to download a file, but you are looking in the wrong folder. Most English courses make a terrible mistake. They give you long lists of words to memorize. You read them, you understand them, and they go straight into your passive folder, and there they stay, useless in a real conversation. If you want to speak fluently, your goal is not to learn more new words. Your goal is to move the words you already know from the passive folder into the active folder. How do we do that? We do it by building mental bridges, and over the next few minutes, I am going to give you a specific system to build those bridges. I have divided this system into 5 simple categories. These are not grammar rules. These are activation triggers. Let's start with the first and most important category. I call these the time-buying phrases. What happens when you forget a word? Most learners panic. They freeze. They say, and they look at the ceiling. In that moment of panic, your brain releases stress hormones. When you are stressed, your memory shuts down completely. You will never remember the word when you are panicking. Native speakers forget words all the time, but they do not panic. They have an automatic system to buy time while their brain searches for the right word. You need to build this habit too. Instead of freezing, you need to have a few simple phrases ready in your active memory. Sentences like, wait, how should I explain this? What is the word I'm looking for? Let me think about how to say this. It's on the tip of my tongue. When you use these phrases, 2 amazing things happen. First, you sound completely natural and fluent, even though you forgot a word. Second, you give your brain 3 extra seconds to relax and search its database. Very often, just by saying what is the word I'm looking for, the stress disappears. and the forgotten word magically appears in your mind. I want you to pick just one of these phrases today. Make it your automatic default. The next time you forget a word, do not say, wait, how should I explain this? This small shift will give you incredible confidence. Now let's move to the second category, emotion upgrades. We as humans talk about our feelings every single day, but most learners only use the same 4 words. Happy, sad, good, and bad. You know other words. You know words like thrilled, exhausted, frustrated, or disappointed. You understand them when you hear them, but they are stuck in your passive folder. To activate them, you must connect them to your real life. The brain does not remember words. It remembers experiences. If you just look at a piece of paper that says frustrated means annoyed, your brain will delete it by tomorrow. But if you connect it to a real memory, it stays forever. Here's what I want you to do. Think of a time this week when you felt really angry or annoyed. Maybe you were stuck in traffic. Maybe your internet stopped working. Go back to that exact memory, feel the annoyance, and say out loud to yourself, I'm so frustrated right now. Do you feel the difference? You are not just studying English. You are experiencing it. When you attach a new word to a real personal memory, you move it from the passive folder to the active folder. The next time your internet stops working, your brain will not give you the word angry. It will automatically give you frustrated because the mental bridge is already built. The third category is the most powerful. I call these the action engines. These are your verbs. Verbs are the engine of any sentence. If you have a strong verb, you do not need many other words to make your point. But learners often rely on weak verbs. They say, I went to the store fast, instead of I rushed to the store. They say, I looked at it for a long time, instead of I started at it. The problem is, rush and stare are sitting in your passive memory. To activate them, you need to use the physical shadowing technique. Your brain remembers physical movement much better than text on a screen. If you want to activate the word grab, which means to take something quickly, do not just read it. Look at your phone on the table. Physically reach out, take it quickly, and say out loud, I grabbed my phone. Do it again. I grabbed my phone. When you combine a physical action with the spoken word, you create a deep neurological link. You are hardwiring the vocabulary into your nervous system. Tomorrow morning, when you are running late and you take your keys from the table, your mind will automatically think the word grab without translating. You do not need to do this for 1,000 words. Tomorrow morning, when you are running late and you take your keys from the table, your mind will automatically think the word grab without translating. You do not need to do this for 1,000 words. Just choose 5 action verbs a week. Act them out. Speak them into reality. Little by little, your spoken English will become sharp, precise, and highly dynamic. Let's talk about the fourth category. This is what saves you when the mental bridge completely collapses. I call them the escape route sentences. Sometimes, no matter how much you practice, the exact word you want will not come. It is gone. This happens to native speakers, and it will happen to you. The biggest mistake learners make is trying to force the exact word. They stop the whole conversation and try to translate the word from their native language. This breaks the flow. You need an escape route. You need the skill of circumlocution, the ability to describe the word you don't know using the simple words you do know. If you forget the word microwave, you do not stop talking. You use an escape route sentence. You say, it's that machine in the kitchen that heats up food very fast. If you forget the word stubborn, you say, he is the kind of person who, never changes his mind. To build this skill, I have a fun challenge for you. Look around your room right now. Choose 3 random objects. Now, Pretend you do not know the English word for them, and try to describe what they do using very simple English. This trains your brain to be flexible. It trains your brain to stop looking for the perfect translation and start focusing on communication. When you know you can describe anything, even if you forget the exact word, the fear of speaking completely disappears. We have covered the time-buying phrases, the emotion upgrades, the action engines, and the escape routes. But having this knowledge is not enough. Information without application is useless. You need a system to make this a daily habit. I am not going to ask you to study for an hour a day. I am going to ask you for 3 minutes. I call it the 3-1-1 method. Every morning, choose just 3 words that you want to move from your passive memory to your active memory. Just 3. Write them down one time on a piece of paper or your phone. And here's the most important part. You must use them out loud in one real-life situation that day. You can say it to a friend, or you can say it to yourself while you are alone in your room. If you choose the word exhausted, do not just look at it. When you finish work or school, sit on your bed, take a deep breath, and say out loud to an empty room, "I am absolutely exhausted today." That is it. The connection is made. The word is now yours. If you do this every single day, that is nearly 1,000 words moved to your active vocabulary in a year. 1,000 words that you can speak without hesitation, without translating, and without panic. I want to be completely honest with you. Activating your vocabulary is uncomfortable. It takes mental energy. The first few times you try to describe something or use a new time-buying phrase, it will feel strange. Your brain will want to go back to the easy, simple words it already knows. Do not let it. The discomfort you feel is the feeling of your brain building new pathways. It is the feeling of progress. Your mind is a powerful machine, but it needs the right software. Stop feeding it endless lists of vocabulary that you never use. Start building the mental bridges today. Take control of your active memory. Right after this video ends, I want you to look around you, pick one object, and describe it out loud without using its name. Prove to yourself that you can do it. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep practicing, trust the system, and I will see you in the next episode.